Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Dane Clark, starring in the short-run series Crime and Peter Chambers. This episode was originally broadcast August 10th, 1954, and this episode is entitled Utopia Ballroom.
Crime and Peter Chambers. Created by Henry Kane, transcribed and starring Dane Clark. Private investigator, duly licensed and duly sworn, Peter Chambers.
You're a private eye. That's your business. Anything else? That's for laughs. You hope you can mix a couple of laughs with this one, because the client that's sitting opposite you'd like to have a couple of laughs with. She's got black, limpid eyes, black, listening hair, shining white teeth, and red lips. And her figure, it's got more curves than a swindle artist can throw at you. And they're much more interesting. Her name is Tina Diaz, an American of Castilian extraction.
You're very handsome, Mr. Chambers. Much more handsome than I'd expected.
We're supposed to be talking about murder, Miss Diaz.
Tina to you, Mr. Chambers. Or may I call you Pete?
Yes, you may call me Pete.
No, Petey. I think I like that best.
Look, you call me whatever you want, Miss Tina. Now, let's get back to business, huh?
About Winnie Brown.
Who was murdered last night. I saw the item in the newspapers. Shot and killed in her apartment on Central Park West. Now, why haven't you gone to the police with this instead of coming here?
Petey, I wasn't particularly fond of Winnie Brown. We happened to be earning our living the same way as dance hall hostesses, both working in the Utopia Ballroom.
And both of you interested in one of its patrons, Gordon Phelps. Playboy, millionaire, man about town.
I was interested, but Winnie won out. To be frank, I didn't like it. Of course, that was before I met you.
Let me hear about Gordon Phelps.
First, he was interested in me, and then he shifted to Winnie. But all over the joint, all over the dance palace, the Utopia Ballroom, there was a rumor that Winnie was blackmailing him.
So, don't you think the police would be interested in that?
Yes, but I'm not going to deliver that information.
Why not?
Because Gordon Phelps is a right guy, that's why.
Maybe I ought to call him, huh? And get it straight from the horse's mouth.
You won't be able to reach him.
Why not? The Phelps mansion is on 56th and Madison.
You won't find him there.
How do you know?
Because he's been in touch with me, which really is why I'm here. Right now, he's in a little place that he has down the village, a little hideaway he keeps.
You know the phone number?
102-1110. Want the punchline, Petey?
Honey, from you, I'll take anything.
He sent me. Gordon Phelps sent me. He's waiting for your call.
All right. 102.
Maybe you are going to earn a fee, after all.
Hello?
Gordon Phelps?
This is he?
Peter Chambers.
Oh, good. I'm delighted that you called me so promptly.
Hiding out, Mr. Phelps?
Not exactly, no. I'm merely attempting to avoid any unnecessary publicity, if that's possible. I know the police want to talk with me, but I won't talk with them. Not until this hubbub dies down. Which is the reason I asked Tina to put you in contact with me. I want to retain you on this, Mr. Chambers.
Over the telephone?
No, I'd like to talk to you personally. But where? I wouldn't want you to come here. It might be awkward.
Well, how about the Utopia Ballroom?
Good. Sort of home base, huh? And most appropriate. You know what I look like?
Yes, I've seen your pictures.
Good enough. Utopia Ballroom, 9 o'clock.
Reluctantly, you kiss off the lush and luxurious Tina Diaz. You try to get through to your friend, Detective Lieutenant Louis Parker, but he's working nights. So you march through a dull day, and then at 8:30, you're at the Utopia Ballroom. You're a little early, but that's the way you want it. Utopia Ballroom. They're all the same all over the world. Dim, dark, and rather delightful. And the girls, young, beautiful, a little hard, garbed in clinging gowns, all shapely and vivacious. But that's not all you see. You clamp on to a couple of points of real interest. Snowtime Cummings and Mousy Lawrence, a couple of top narcotics pushers of the West Coast. And you wonder what they're doing here in the East. And then Tina Diaz approaches, and she takes your breath away. Tina Diaz, sheathed in red silk.
Want to dance, handsome?
No, you know I'm waiting.
Here, you gotta buy tickets, but for you, Petey, it's for free. I'd love to hold you close and dance.
Oh, honey, I've got a date with Gordon Phelps, you know that.
Yeah, okay. See that table over there? Way over there where it's dark? That's his favorite table.
Uh-huh.
Sit there, and when he comes in, I'll send him to
you. You sit and you wait, and pretty soon he's there. A tall, middle-aged, slender guy with man of distinction written all over him. The first thing he does is hand you an envelope.
This is for you, Mr. Chambers. Tina Diaz directed me to you.
What is it?
Your fee, $1,000. I hope that's acceptable.
It's acceptable. Sit down, Mr. Phelps.
Thank you. You know your job, Mr. Chambers. I want to know who killed Winnie Brown.
And if it turns out to be you, Mr. Phelps, there's no rebate on the $1,000.
Good enough.
Now, what's your connection with that girl, Winnie Brown? What about this blackmail talk?
It's absolute nonsense. She was taking dramatic lessons. And, well, I was helping her.
How much were you helping her, Mr. Phelps?
$75 a week. Well, now, don't misunderstand. It was purely an act of charity. The girl had talent.
Yeah, sure. Now, look, so what's with this blackmail pitch that everybody's talking about?
Oh, rumor, gossip, and nonsense. She probably boasted that I was helping her, and, well, you know, a place like this, tongues get to wagging.
Did you visit her apartment often?
As a matter of fact, I've never been to her apartment.
Okay, you've never been to her apartment. Now, look, somebody did kill her, Mr. Phelps. Any ideas that you can kind of throw into the hopper?
Well, there are two people. There's Tina.
Tina Diaz?
Yes. Perhaps, in a sense, it was my fault. Because it was Tina's belief that Winnie had won me away from her. There was bad blood between those two, and I know for certain that Winnie was in mortal fear of Tina. Fiery type, that Tina. Bad temper.
How long have you known those girls?
Oh, I met them about a year ago.
Now, you said two people, Mr. Phelps. Who's your other candidate?
Johnny Hayes.
Who that?
The man that owns this place. His office is upstairs. A couple of nights ago, I knew that Winnie was in his office, and I was going up there to sort of pay my respects. The door was partly open, and before I actually realized it, I was eavesdropping. I overheard an argument.
Now, look, you big shot, Johnny Hayes. I know what's going on around here, and I don't like it. You're putting a lot of nice kids in this spot, making criminals out of them, and I don't like it.
You don't like it, eh? Well, who the heck do you think you are?
I'm the dame that can blow the whistle on you. That's who I am.
Sister, let me tell you something for your own good. You're moving in over your head. Way over your head. And unless you butt out of this and keep your nose clean, you figure to get your head handed to you with a few holes in it. And that's final.
And so's this final, Johnny. Unless you put a stop to this thing within a week, I'm going to the cops. And you'll get your head handed to you. And it's got holes in it already.
And that was that, Mr. Chambers. I heard the way he spoke to her, and that was a threat, a definite threat. There are no two ways about it.
Yeah. Now, suppose I go up and talk to this Johnny Hayes.
Suit yourself.
Can I quote you on that overheard conversation?
Certainly, why not? Well, if there's nothing more, Mr. Chambers, then I shall be going. You know where to be in touch with me. I'm sort of hiding out. I just don't want to mix with the police or make any public statements. Not until this thing is completely finished.
And from August 10th, 1954, Dane Clark in Crime and Peter Chambers, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of Crime and Peter Chambers starring Dane Clark, August 10th, 1954.
Johnny Hayes' office is the usual cubbyhole overloaded with pictures of prize fighters and actors.
Okay, so you're a private cop. So what can I do for you?
He's a sharply dressed guy, tall, pale, slender, and good-looking. And trying to learn anything from his face is like trying to learn something from a clock without hands.
Okay, so you're Peter Chambers. So what do you want me to do? Bring out a flag and wave it?
I want you to answer a couple of questions. I'm working on that Winnie Brown thing.
Okay, so work somewhere else.
I'm working here.
Oh, a tough boy. One of them, huh?
Tough enough if that's the way you want it. Now, how do you want it?
Well, for the time being, let's play it in a soft key, tough boy. What do you want?
That's better. A couple of nights ago, you were overheard threatening Winnie Brown.
Where?
Right here.
It's a lie.
You didn't have an argument with her?
I did not.
Suppose I tell you I got a witness to that.
Then I'll tell you he's a liar.
Would you say that Gordon Phelps is a liar?
Gordon Phelps, eh? Yeah. Yes, I certainly would say he's lying.
Why should he lie?
So's he can take the heat off himself. If anybody killed her, he did.
How does that figure?
Because she was playing him for a sucker, that's why. And he couldn't get to first base. And that drove him off his nut. He's one of them millionaire guys, spoiled all the way from the cradle. If they can't get what they want, they kill it. So's no one else can get what they can't get.
And that about does it for your conversation with Johnny Hayes. The next stop, police headquarters, where you wait for Lieutenant Parker. And it's about 2 o'clock in the morning before he finally shows up. Detective Lieutenant Louis Parker, homicide. Staunch minion of the law, gentleman, and good friend.
Well, bless my soul if it ain't Peter Chambers in person.
Louis.
Ain't it a little past your bedtime, friend?
Louis, what have you got on that Winnie Brown murder?
Knowing you, what have you got, pal?
Well, I might have something you want.
Oh, like perhaps a guy by name of Gordon Phelps, huh?
Perhaps.
Hey, you're not kidding, are you, Pete?
No.
Will you be able to produce that guy for us?
I might.
When?
Within the next 24 hours.
Good enough.
All right. Now, what have you got for me, Louis?
This? Gun that killed her, and her diary.
Did you, trace the gun yet?
We're working on it.
How about the diary? Did it give you anything?
No, nothing that helps. Makes a lot of mention of that Gordon Phelps, though. And says she lived in that apartment the past 2 years.
Did, he go up to her apartment often?
As a matter of fact, according to the diary, he never went there. Ever.
Well, that jibes.
Jibes? Jibes with what?
Skip it, Louis, for the time being. Now, what did happen up there at Winnie Brown's? All I've got is a smattering from the newspapers.
Dead, shot through the head, gun left there, no fingerprints. Killer probably wore gloves. Apartment had been searched, but not thoroughly searched. It appears that she interrupted the search, and that's when she was killed. The neighbor heard the shots, reported it.
How'd the intruder get in?
That is one of our chief problems.
How come?
Well, the windows were locked from the inside. Door lock was not tampered with. In fact, when we got there, it was actually locked from the outside. We had to use master keys.
Louis, a favor?
But what else?
I'd like to look that apartment over.
Yeah? Do I get cooperation?
Have I ever failed you, Louis?
No, you never have. There's the key, pal.
Thanks, pal.
Enjoy yourself. Let me hear from you.
It's 2 well-furnished rooms on Central Park West near 75th Street. You give the joint a quick going over, and you come up with nothing. You're just about to start a return engagement, this time more intensive, when you hear an instrument fumbling in the door lock. You douse the lights. You take up a stand behind the door. And when the door opens, you jump them. But the hymn is soft and pliant and nice to the touch. And when you get the lights on, the hymn ain't a hymn. It's a her. Tina Diaz.
Oh, you hurt me. Help me up. Please help me up.
Hey, with a picklock in your hand yet. Oh, you Tina Diaz, you naughty.
Help me.
All right. Up you go. There you are.
Oh, you hurt me. Right here.
Sorry.
Kiss it, Petey. Here. Right here. Much better.
Okay, now we finished playing post office. Let's start playing detective and suspect. What are you doing here?
I didn't kill her. Please believe me, I had nothing to do with
So
her.
what are you doing here?
I came because I'm afraid.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. You came because you're afraid. I don't get it.
I was afraid they'd mix me up in her murder. You see, a long time ago, I threatened
But
her.
she's dead. She can't tell the police you threatened her.
It was in writing.
I still don't get it.
Listen, I have a temper. I flare up. When Gordon Phelps became interested in her, I felt that she'd tricked me. At that time, I went away for a vacation. I wrote her some letters, threatening letters. Well, later, when I returned, she told me she'd saved those letters for insurance. I'm sure the police haven't found them.
Otherwise, they'd have picked you up.
Yeah, that's right. So they're still here. Well, I don't want to be involved. So I borrowed this picklock, and I came here tonight, took some time off from the dance hall.
Okay, sweetie, okay. Now, let's see. Let's look together. Let's see. I'm, Winnie Brown. I'm a girl who works in the dance hall. I have a 2-room apartment. I have some letters that I want to hide. Where would I hide them? I'm a girl who's influenced by movies, comic strips, television. Tina.
Yeah?
Help me take that picture off the wall, that big one. You miss on the first, but the second picture does it. You rip off the brown paper back, and there are the letters. And there also is another item, a document. You look at that, and you pocket it. And then you return the letters to Tina.
Oh, I don't know how to thank you.
Well, we'll discuss that later at my place, huh? I've got a great, big, beautiful terrace overlooking the city.
Oh, I'd love that.
It's a date.
See, what was that other thing you found, that legal-looking document?
Well, at the moment, it's none of your business, sweetheart. Look, tell me, do you know a character called Snowtime Cummings? Another guy called Mousy Lawrence?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Are you mixed up in any of that?
No, I'm not.
Good enough. Do you know what's been going on there at the Utopia Ballroom with those guys?
Yes. A lot of the girls know. But they're afraid to talk. Those who are not mixed up in
Well, don't you be afraid. You tell me.
Well, those 2 men come from the West Coast. That Snowtime Cummings and Mousy Lawrence.
You call Parker and you call Gordon Phelps, and then you and Tina and a lot of cops and Parker and Phelps are all gathered in Johnny Hayes' office. Snowtime and Mousy have already been picked up, and now Parker points a finger at Gordon Phelps.
You, Mr. Phelps, just in case you're remotely interested, the gun that killed Winnie Brown was your gun.
Well, that doesn't mean a thing, Lieutenant. I gave her that gun 6 months ago as a gift.
You're pointing the finger at the wrong guy, Louis.
Well, who's the right guy?
A little bit to your left. Correct. Johnny Hayes.
Me? Why, you dirty little...
Oh, shut up. Let him talk.
Those two West Coast hoods were passing narcotics right here in this dance hall. They terrorized some of the girls into working for them.
We'll get the rest of the story in just a moment. Dane Clark, Crime and Peter Chambers, from August 10th, 1954, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The conclusion, along with the conclusion of a yours truly Johnny Dollar story, follows these messages.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medishare for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medishare's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medishare is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Crime and Peter Chambers, starring Dane Clark, August 10th, 1954, and the goings-on at the Utopia Ballroom.
They slipped the girl a packet, and the girl would slip it to the customer while dancing with him, then they'd take his dough in return.
I didn't know anything about that.
That's a lie. You even tried to talk Miss Diaz into your filthy little racket.
Yes, it's true. He did.
And for all of that, the boys paid him off, Louis. Winnie Brown found out about it, and she was a spunky one. She told Hayes unless he cut her out, she'd go to the cops. So he killed her. Johnny Hayes is all washed up, and he knows it. Suddenly, he pulls a gun from a drawer, and he points it at you. But it's Parker shooting the gun out of his hands. Good old Parker. Then everybody heads for downtown, police headquarters, and there you clean up a couple of loose ends with the lieutenant. And then, in the faint blue of the very early morning, on your terrace overlooking the park, you and Tina Diaz drink a quiet toast to the great, sprawling, sleepy city beneath you.
To New York, and to you, and congratulations on a really brilliant performance.
And to you, honey, who helped plenty. And believe me, it took a lot of nerve.
But how were you so sure it was Johnny?
Well, first, whoever killed her had used the key to go in. And when he left, he actually locked the door behind him.
So?
Well, there was plenty of motive for Johnny. Phelps had heard his threat, and you gave me the rest of the information. That made me very sure that he was our boy. But that document stuck behind a picture was the clincher.
What was that?
That's what he was searching for. What might tie him into it? It was a legal separation between Winnie and Johnny Hayes dated 6 months ago. They'd been married, husband and wife, and they'd broken up. And back in my mind, I was looking for somebody with a key to that place. And who else would that be but the legally wedded husband?
Real little old brilliant Sherlock Holmes.
Well, I try.
I like you, Petey. I like you very much.
Oh, and I like you.
Huh. Petey?
Yeah?
You make a lot of money, don't you?
I do all right.
Well, I was thinking...
Yeah.
I work pretty hard for a living, and I don't earn very much.
Sure, I know.
And I was thinking that if you had confidence in my ability...
Oh, I have confidence in you, honey.
Well, I know a dramatic school. It's only $75 a week, and if you could lend it to me and... Well, what's so funny?
Nothing. Except this is where I came in.
And there you've had Crime and Peter Chambers. Dane Clark was starred as Peter Chambers. Crime and Peter Chambers was created and written by Henry Kane. Others in the cast were Bill Zuckert, heard as Lieutenant Parker, Patricia Wheel as Tina, and Bill Griffiths as Gordon. It was directed by Fred Way. And this is Fred Collins inviting you to tune in next week, same time, same station, transcribed for Dane Clark in Crime and Peter Chambers.
August 10th, 1954, Crime and Peter Chambers on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Well, now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we're going to wrap up another Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The Alder Matter, starring John Dehner as Alder, and of course he plays the character to the peak. This episode of Yours Truly Johnny Dollar originally broadcast August 10th, 1956, as Yours Truly Johnny Dollar performs a little bit of sleight of hand, if you will, or sleight of body.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
Good morning, Senor Dollar. Is La Guiara cable office calling? We have an answer to cables you sent to Hartford, Connecticut.
Good.
Would you like me to read the message, Senor?
No, I'm on a telephone with extensions.
Oh, I see. Perhaps you prefer I have it delivered then?
No, I don't.
Then you will come in for it yourself?
Yeah, just as fast as I can get there.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Caracas, Venezuela, to the Home Office Worldwide Mutual Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, The Alder Matter. Expense account continued. At the cable office, I ran into another dead end. Vic Kelly back in Hartford had come up with absolutely nothing on either Dora Jansen, who called herself Doris Cole, or Arthur Singer, the little man she'd hurried off an incoming liner yesterday. Complete strikeout. I headed outside, caught a glimpse of Mrs. Billy Alder watching me from across the street. Social life changing, Mrs. Alder? Does being my hostess include tailing me?
Does being on La Guiara Street constitute tailing you?
Preserve me from amateur detectives.
Good morning, Mr. Dollar.
Oh, come on. You rushed out of the house so fast you couldn't possibly have eaten. I'll buy you breakfast. I knew it was curiosity that made her take me up. She just couldn't resist the thought that maybe I'd give something away, let something slip. She ate warily, tentatively. We must have looked like two boxers in a close fight sitting on the edge of their stools, waiting for the last round. The one that would decide the winner.
You're staring.
Thinking. You love your husband, Mrs. Alder?
There'd better be a reason for a question like that.
Let's stop sparring, huh? You know why I'm down here.
Do I?
You told me you did the other day.
So I did.
Now, don't be aloof, lady. You're not that much in the clear. You've been the beneficiary several times and dropped.
My daughter is the present one, I believe. And what exactly is your point? There's been no crime committed.
No crime? Somebody's bullet misses your husband by inches and you call it no crime?
Thank you for breakfast.
Don't forget, I saw you out on the grounds of the house searching the place that shot came from.
I told you before.
You knew an automatic pistol was used, admitted looking for a shell.
You talk too much, Mr. Dollar.
And you talk too little. Look, why have you been tailing me? It's certainly not to see that I'm protecting your husband's life. So it's obviously to make sure that I don't find out something. Now, what is it, Mrs. Alder? And why is it so terribly important I don't find out about it?
If you won't leave, Mr. Dollar, I will.
There's this about getting someone angry enough, fearful enough, it makes them forget about caution. Mrs. Alder never once looked back, simply headed straight for the cheap little waterfront hotel where Arthur Singer was staying. She stayed for over half an hour, and when she left, she still looked frightened. Whatever the game was, it looked like everyone was a player but me. But Mrs. Alder's move helped, started an idea gnawing at me. So I headed for Caracas in the office of a smart cop, Jefe Velasquez. I needed someone to talk to, and the Jefe was a good listener.
Come, amigo, sit down. Tell me where it feels wrong, huh?
Billy Alder. He does all that changing in his policy, so I assume he's scared of being knocked off. Probably by one of the people who has been named a beneficiary of the policy.
So?
So now I'll take the other people concerned. Alder's wife is as much a clam as her husband is. Also, she knows what kind of a gun was used to take that shot at him. Dora Jansen, a woman who uses an alias and is obviously afraid of me. Arthur Singer, a little man Dora has hidden in a waterfront hotel. And now I find Alder's wife knows about the little man, too.
Conclusion, amigo?
That the three of them are in on something together. But not to kill Alder for that policy. His daughter gets it all.
Yet Alder is afraid.
And I think he's scared of something the others know. Now, suppose that shot wasn't meant to kill him, just frighten him. A sign that somebody meant business.
That is a nice piece of logic.
Yeah. Now all I gotta do is make it work. Look, Jefe, whatever this deal is, nobody's gonna make a move till I'm out of here.
So?
So, good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to do a little acting. I stayed with Velasquez another half hour, setting things up as best I could. Then I drove to the airport and paid item 11 $309.80 for a plane ticket marked Hartford, Connecticut. Sure, it was an expensive prop, but this was one act I had to be convincing in. I drove back to Caracas, pasted a real angry look on my face, marched into Billy Alder's sumptuous office, and threw the airline ticket on his desk. He studied it for a long minute.
What does this mean, Dollar?
That I've had all of you I can take, Alder. You and your keep me alive.
You are going back to the States?
You can read. The ticket says Hartford, Connecticut. It also says the 6 o'clock plane, because there's nothing earlier.
But why? Why, Dollar?
So I can get back and make my recommendations to the insurance company. You know what I'm going to recommend, Alder.
Please, wait.
That they cancel your policy because of your refusal to cooperate. Sorry, Alder.
Dollar, please, now don't do it. I beg
There's a clause in that policy.
I don't care about that policy. Now, don't you understand?
Understand what?
Listen to me. All that changing of beneficiaries. I only did that to make them send someone down here. I need protection.
Against what?
I'm in a jam. All I want is protection until it's peacefully settled. Do you understand?
No, plainer.
I know someone wants to kill me over a business deal. I'm asking you to see that I stay alive until I have time to reason with this man.
Who is he?
I can't tell you.
Then let me tell you something. He's just arrived in town.
How did you... Don't you see, Mr. Dollar? You must stay.
Sorry. Goodbye, Mr. Alder. I went back to the Alder house, packed my bag, and said my goodbyes. Neither Mrs. Alder nor Dora Jansen wept. I drove to the airport, checked my luggage in. Then I slipped away, drove back to Caracas the long way. A half hour later, I checked into a little side street hotel where Jefe Velasquez had reserved a room for me. Then came the hardest part, the waiting. That 6 o'clock plane must have been way out over the Caribbean when the call finally came. Yeah?
Velasquez here. You tired of waiting?
Oh, brother, you know it. Look, Jefe, your men check in. Maybe I should have taken part of the work.
Be patient, amigo. Your whole idea depends on their thinking you took that plane. You must stay right where you are.
But what about your men? Have they...
I get a call every couple minutes, amigo. Alder, his wife, the Dora Johnson, Arthur Singer. I can tell you every move they make in the last 3 hours.
But they haven't made the one I'm waiting for, huh?
You will know it 3 minutes after they make it.
If they make it. Thanks, Jefe. 5 minutes later, Velasquez called again. He took only enough time to tell me he was on his way and to be down in the street in 2 minutes. I was. I only beat him by seconds.
Come on, amigo.
Well?
It looked like your plan worked, Juanito. This Dora Johnson.
Yeah?
As soon as she learned your plane left, the one you did not take, she rushed to the waterfront hotel, pick up the Arthur Singer. Then the two of them rushed to the Alder house.
And?
Alder must have seen him coming because he jumped in his car and raced out in the direction of his oil field, Caranero. They see him and follow him. That's where we headed for.
Then we better get things going, get there before Singer kills Alder. I don't know whether or not he deserves killing, but I know one thing. It'll cost my company $250,000. Velasquez's men were plenty good. Halfway to Carnero, one of them flagged us down, told us both cars had definitely passed his way. And when we reached the oil field, another one waited at the gate. He told us Billy Alder, Dora Jansen, and Arthur Singer were in a little work shack across the field. We left the car and moved as quietly as we could toward the shack. There was a weird feeling. In every direction, you could see the great oil rigs working, pumping, ignoring us. We reached the shack, peered cautiously through the window. An even weirder scene was taking place. An almost hysterical Dora Jansen pointed a Luger at a sweating Billy Alder. A terrified Arthur Singer pleaded with her, their words pushed easily through the thin wooden slatting.
Dora, please don't do it. You'll only make things worse.
Your brother's right, Dora. Dora, listen to me.
Like he listened to you 4 years ago. What did it get him, Mr. Fancy Promoter? Tell me that.
I'll make it right with him.
A quiet gentleman. A bookkeeper who never did anything wrong in his life until you sold him a bill of goods.
Now listen to me, both of you.
So he rigged your books for you. Made false entries, made it look like he was responsible for the bankruptcy. And he did the 3 years in prison that you should have done.
For $100,000. That was the deal. And believe me, I'm not trying to cheat him. The money is tied up in my business. I need time, but I'll pay him.
Pay him? It's been a year since he came out of jail. You'll never pay. You'll try to cheat him out of the money one way or another.
I swear to you, Dora.
It's a lot easier to kill him than pay him, isn't it?
Oh, you're crazy.
Is that why you kept the Luger in the house? Were you worried when it disappeared? When I shot at you to let you know I meant business?
Think what you're doing. Dollar knows all about this.
Oh, yes. Your bodyguard must have gotten frightened after I had him beat up the other day. He's on his way to the States in a plane.
Dora!
No! I'm going to kill you. Now!
Come on. Put it down, Dora. You pull that trigger and he'll still come out the winner.
No!
Senorita, do not make me fire, please.
I don't care. As long as he gets what he deserves. Stand back!
Senorita!
For a split second, she wavered. Then the hate took over. Alder sank to the floor, disbelief on his face. Panicked, she raced out into the night, and I went after her. Dora!
No!
Dora, hold it!
No!
There's no place to go, Dora!
Stay away from me, you hear? Don't come in it!
What happened to her, Johnny?
She panicked, turned to scream at me, and ran right into one of the protection fences around the derrick. She's just passed out. She'll come around. How's Alder?
Conscious, but I do not know. We better get him to the hospital.
Yeah, come on.
She didn't mean to shoot her, mister. My sister wouldn't hurt anyone.
Sure. Go take care of her.
She was only doing it for me. For me, mister.
Alder?
I would have paid. I wasn't going to cheat him. Oh, Dollar. You know?
Yeah, we heard it all.
I'm glad it's over. The worrying.
Want to tell me one thing, Alder? Your wife, where does she fit?
She had nothing to do with it. Just knew about it. I wasn't too nice to her for a long time. Other women, her running around, just a way of punishing me, paying me back. She knew I couldn't afford to complain.
Yeah, wish you'd have told me a long time ago, Alder.
Couldn't. Case could always be reopened. I couldn't face that. Would have hurt too much.
Oh, yeah. But it wouldn't have hurt as much as that bullet. Expense account total $833.14. Details: Billy Alder was rushed to the Caracas hospital, underwent some excellent surgery, and relaxed claims department. He's going to make it. As for his shady business tactics, well, that's out of my bailiwick. That's for the law boys. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Now, here's our star to tell you about next week's story.
Next week, a quiet cabin by a quiet lake, a place ideal for romance and ideal for murder. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Tony Barrett. It is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in this week's cast were Gil Stratton, Harry Bartell, Barbara Fuller, John Daner, Virginia Gregg, Don Diamond, Vivi Janis, and Tony Barrett. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Be sure to join us on Monday night, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
There you have it, wrapping up the Alder Matter, a Part 5 episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This episode, the last episode from August 10th, 1956, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for tuning in. Would you do me a favor and thank this radio station and support their advertisers? It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. Now, if you miss a day on this station, you do not have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at my webpage, classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. There you can stream our shows on demand. You can learn more about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can find links to podcast apps that have our shows available for you for your phone. And you also can find our social media links there. You can contact me, and if you want to help this show grow, you can buy me a coffee. That Buy Me a Coffee link doesn't buy me coffee, but it helps us build additional great classic radio theater shows and acquire them from a number of collector sources. That is all at classicradio.stream. Thank you so much for tuning in, and tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.